And here's just a sample, Drew, of how the media has sounded in covering, as you point out, Lady Obama. That's how she's getting treated. Watch.
I'm telling you, there seems to be there's something appealing about a guy for people who say it's comfortable talking in a T-shirt and a baseball cap as he is talking in a suit, as he is talking in a tuxedo.
His Midwestern appeal, that plain-spoken way of talking that he has, he's a bit folksy.
I think you got the hillbilly elegy against the real hillbilly. That's going to be, Yale versus the guy who's, actually spent all of his time on the ground, fixing F-150s.
He coined that one-word takedown of the Trump-Vance team, just calling them weird. That is something that really gained a fair amount of traction.
It's like a walking John Mellencamp song.
I know one thing, he won't be talking about childless cat ladies or being racially divisive. That's a step up from the other side.
He's joyful when he's on the attack. He almost, does it with a wink and a smile and a sense of humor when he is going after these guys.
It was mesmerizing, and you could just sense the power in the hall. And it was the power of joy. And these two people yesterday managed to put a smile on the nation's face.
Oh, my gosh. True. First of all, just on the racially divisive charge, your side is literally holding racially segregated Zoom calls in its first week as a rollout for Kamala, but I'll leave it to you to unpack it, Drew.
Right. I think that's fair. Don't forget, they picked Tim Walz in part because he is a basic, boring white man, right? That's what they've been saying all along. The idea that somehow that side, right, the boring white guys for Kamala's side, is not the racially divisive party, I think is preposterous, right? I think it's pretty nakedly preposterous. But I'll tell you, for whatever reason, that doesn't seem to be getting through to the media, who is cribbing all of that language. You heard those couple quotes about joy and how he's bringing joy to America. He's critical with joy. The Washington Post cribbed that same language in a headline. They said that he's bringing joy. Like it's ridiculous on its face. But I think when it's then refracted back to everyone through the media, who should be holding up this revealing mirror to candidates, and instead you've got the vibes joy guy, and that's not actually doing any due diligence about someone who might be a heartbeat away from the presidency.
Yeah, he's the vibes joy guy, and Trump and Vance are weird, even though Governor Walz is just fine with chopping your child's penis off, even though he's 14. Yeah, and not weird.
Yeah, right. It's somehow the guy who mandates tampons in boys' bathrooms for high schools is not the weird guy. Right?
And from fourth grade. That's when it starts.
Elementary
supposed
school.
to start fifth.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, where you've got a framing that relies on what does the average Washington Post or New York Times editor consider weird. I would go so far as to say that perhaps that is not aligned with what most Americans and most voters think is weird. I think people think that's a lot weirder.
So can I show, this is a perfect place to bring in his lieutenant governor. She's a nut too. You guys may remember her. She turned herself into a national news story not long ago in March 23, long before we were thinking about this guy as the potential running mate for Kamala Harris, because she said this insanity when he was signing one of his many crazy trans kids bills. Listen to Peggy Flanagan in March of 2023.
Because let's be clear, this is life-affirming and life-saving healthcare. When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them. That's what it means to be a good parent.
Oh my God. Do you remember this, Stephen?
I wanted to be a stegosaurus. Yeah, I wanted to be a stegosaurus when I was 12, and my parents didn't let me do that, and now I ended up as a podcaster. So if you recall, she's also the one who was seen wearing the Protect Trans Kids knife shirt. So she's got it on there. Yeah, we can have that talk about what is and what is not stochastic terrorism, I guess, if we want. I would not expect our media to basically suddenly jump in and start covering this stuff. My grand theory of this election is that this is a Hillary Clinton do-over for them. We had Ezra Klein 3 years ago blaming coverage of Hillary's emails on, why Trump won and not, Gamma not going to the state of Wisconsin for 104 days. And so they really do look at this as a Hillary Clinton do-over. We have another historic female candidate. We're not going to let this one lose to Donald Trump this time. We're not going to commit any mortal sins of doing our jobs and covering Kamala's past positions. And this whole weird thing really did spawn to kind of neutralize these hysterical laughing moments from Kamala Harris, where she's the only one cackling. She's like candidate Smilex. And I really do believe that was deployed to neutralize anybody pointing that stuff out. And so, like what Drew said, they can pull this. These guys are just weird card all they want. But, these are the guys who are appearing in leather dog masks on segregated Zoom calls. And I guess if you guys want to do this joy election, I don't know how much joy people like me have having to chase down a clerk at a grocery store because laundry detergent is now locked up. And so these are things that... Right. These are things they can't hide from. They can't hide from mass influx of immigrants on street corners with squeegees anymore. And that's not on them. They're just trying to get by. But this is things people do notice. They notice an influx of prices. They notice an influx of groceries being locked up. They notice an influx of, homelessness. And you can run on this, hey, everything's great, because this kind of was born from like Paul Krugman, the vibe economy. And you guys can run on that. Good luck. I guess. Well,
it's amazing. You're exactly right. Tell it to the family of Lake and Riley how joyful it is to have this woman in office. Tell it to Chloe Cole, who had her breast chopped off at age 15 by a medical community that's been captured by social craziness, pushing this stuff without any appreciation for the fact that a minor cannot give consent to that kind of a procedure in the name of gender affirming care, which he's on board with 110%. It's amazing, but they picked him, Drew, because they think he's going to help with working class Midwesterners, that he's got that, John Mellencamp in real life, like a John Mellencamp song, which I object to as a John Mellencamp fan.
God,
here's Steve Kornacki, however, of NBC, with a hefty dose of realism for them on exactly how well Tim Walz does when it comes to actual working and middle class voters in Minnesota. Listen.
I think that background, the small town background, the military background, Democrats are hoping it's going to help them. This is Stearns County. This is in greater Minnesota. This is similar to a lot of the terrain you see in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Walz lost this by 23 points. How does that compare to Joe Biden in 2020? Joe Biden lost the same county by 23 points. How does that compare to Hillary Clinton in 2016? Hillary Clinton lost it by 28 points. And now here's the key, because this county, Democrats used to be much more competitive in. Look at this. In 2012, Barack Obama won 43% of the vote in this county. The floor fell out for Democrats here when Trump came along in that Clinton race in 2016, and they haven't recovered it since. And Walz really owes his victory, that margin he got 8 points there statewide, he owes it to the Twin Cities area here, the area where Democrats in Minnesota and all these other states are already doing well. And the idea that he's got this automatic appeal with these small town areas in those three key battleground states, you don't see it in what he actually did on the ballot in 2022. Now, that doesn't mean it can't happen. See how this story, once it gets told, does it resonate with voters?
That's the thing, Drew. He is not some working class whisperer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it really, to me, what it highlights is how far can this vibes election sentiment actually go? Because the media may think that this guy is, he typifies the working class and he's out there, whatever. But he is a dyed in the blood progressive, right? The things that he actually believes, which voters are aware of in Minnesota and beyond, are not the sorts of, are not these folksy John Mellencampy types of values, right? And so peeling back the layer, even just a tiny bit on his progressive policies. We've talked about the bathroom stuff, but also look at green energy, right? He's someone who has, by executive order and in his budget, he requires all providers of energy in the state to abandon traditional methods of energy by 2032. He wants 100% green energy by law, mandated by law in Minnesota by 2032. Hopefully there's enough time in there for somebody to come in and fix that. But he's not. He isn't this like everyman sort of guy. He is a radical progressive, and the media might be able to hold him forward as, oh well, look at him. Doesn't he just look like someone who would be folksy and Midwestern and moderate? But he's not. He's very obviously not.
The ability to provide for your family has changed quite a bit in the last couple of years, as you know. When you go shopping, you're getting less, but spending the same. You might have to decide what to buy and what to do without. But I want to tell you about American Financing. If you are a homeowner, they will take the equity you've built up and use it to pay off your high interest debt. They are saving customers an average of $854 a month, and they're closing some people in as fast as 10 days. Start today, and you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. Call American Financing to see what they could do for you. The number is 888-528-1219, 888-528-1219, or go to americanfinancing.net/Kelly. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.